Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Force here, and we will be taking a look at another StarCraft 2 commentary today. Today's matchup is between Liquid's HuK and KDH. We can see Liquid HuK here in the bottom left position as our red Protoss player, and here in the upper left is KDH as the blue Zerg. So yes, Protoss versus Zerg, Liquid's HuK versus KDH here on Tal Darum Altar. Tal'Darim Altar. I like Tal'Darum though. So yeah, anyways, it doesn't really matter what the name is. It matters how the gameplay is. That's pretty cool. I'm a cool guy. Alright guys, so yes, here we go. Liquid HuK dropping the pylon right outside of his natural expansion. Forge Fast Expand. Obviously, what will be taking place, that's just, yep, that's what's going to happen. Back over here, not expecting to see a lot yet from KDH. We will have to see how he decides to open. Would not be too surprised, though, if he goes for just quick 15, 14, or 16 hatchery and then spawning pool after the fact. Just given the map, the general nature of things is players fast expand on this map. That's just how it works. That is basically what takes place. Now, we will see HuK actually scout out and look for that pool first, and I actually think he may drop the... no, he's still waiting actually, still holding off, doesn't want to do anything quite as of yet. I was going to say if he saw that expansion first, then he may have just dropped his Nexus first before the Forge, but if he sees the pool first, then he might go Forge and then Nexus. So looks like we will still have to wait. We did see HuK pull down with the with that probe first, just in case he saw early aggression from KDH. He would have actually been able to drop that Forge, but seeing that that pool hadn't even started building, he wasn't all that concerned. But right now, he will be able to come up with this expansion, and yes, he will be going Nexus and then dropping the Forge, starting to work on that wall. So probably somewhere right around here is where that Forge will be going. Or maybe he'll be dropping it up there and then placing something else over here. I don't know. He can do whatever he wants. He's HuK. Back over here, we can see KDH, the spawning pool, just about finished right now. He does have 3 guys on the extractor. So I am a little bit surprised that he didn't try to go quick for that expansion before the pool. Just because, as mentioned, given the size of the map and the way the game tends to play out, you just see so many people go straight for an expansion, just like HuK did here. We can see HuK actually decided to put the Forge there, then the pylon, and then probably the gateway will be situating itself somewhere around here. Back over here, we can see now obviously, you know, as I mentioned, yes, I'm a little surprised, but this is the safer opening. So, I mean, maybe that's exactly, well, not maybe, that's exactly why KDH decided to do it, because it is the safer option. You know, doing this, coming out, well, look at that harassment there by HuK, but coming out with those Zerglings first, it protects you from dealing with this type of harassment, or at least it makes it a lot easier to deal with. Now, HuK probably going to be trying to cancel it and drop another. Yes, he will be. And so KDH not doing what he needs to properly deal with this. He knows the Zerglings to come on back. There we go. Finally, Zerglings going back home to deal with this. HuK taking advantage of the fact that KDH only had 1 Zergling sitting there, and it took him just too long to try to whittle down that pylon. And actually, KDH building a lot more Zerglings than you really need right now. Very interesting to see that he decided to do that, in all honesty. That's way more than you need at this point in the game. He should have really been focused on droning up, and again, had he just used those initial 4 Zerglings to take care of that pylon and probe, he wouldn't have had this problem. But now, because of that, because he only had 1 Zergling sitting back, he had this expansion delayed, and that's actually a real big advantage here for HuK. We can see the gateway finishing off the wall off. There's that Cybernex core as well. Getting a cannon back there. Probably will be seeing maybe this pylon get taken out once HuK decides to leave his base. Nothing else, obviously, quite as of yet. We're just still too early game. Now, something to notice, of course, here is that KDH is getting ready to come out with this 3rd expansion. He does know about the fast expansion here from HuK. He knows there's a Forge fast expand, so as such, he knows that he needs a 3rd. So Zerglings working down these destructible rocks, getting ready to use this drone to drop that hatchery as soon as those rocks do get taken care of. KDH did pull guys off of that extractor as well, sitting fairly saturated over here. That expansion, again, pretty delayed. We're at 6 minutes, and this hasn't popped yet. That's definitely much later than you would like it to be out. So KDH definitely has some making up to do. Take a quick look here at the income tab. Huge huge advantage for HuK. A big part of the reason that was so low, obviously, though, KDH was in transit there with those drones, but still, overall, even though these guys have just started mining, still definitely an advantage right now for HuK. Now, let's take a look at the units. We can see 37 probes as opposed to just the 28 drones. So in terms of worker count, KDH definitely behind. KDH in no position right now to push out and really break this at all. The full wall off, 2 cannons plus that sentry. Really nothing that KDH can do about this right now. We'll be dancing around, though, trying to just check, see where those cannons are, see if there's any weak spots whatsoever. We do have this gateway here as well, so very interesting. I wonder if there's a space right here. If there's a space right here, he could just break down this pylon. But, of course, HuK does want to make sure that he's got some way of leaving his base once that time finally does come. Hatchery 50% of the way finished over here for KDH. KDH grabbing these towers, trying to get some map control. Don't know why he doesn't have these two. That would, of course, be a smart idea. He's probably checking for any rogue probes and maybe trying to drop any additional expansions, because if HuK did try to expand besides these two, may try to do something other than over here, just because he has to break down these rocks, takes all that extra time. Hiding expansions can be beneficial, so KDH doing what he can to check for that possibility. One Zealot coming in outside of that gateway, trying to dance around and actually get rid of those Zerglings. Back over here, KDH, what does he have going on? Layers coming through, level 1 missile upgrade coming through as well. No Roach Warren, just sticking with these Zerglings. Obviously, he doesn't really have to worry about defense right now. He knows HuK is boxed in, but what is HuK doing? Looks like we are going to be seeing a 7-gate push here from HuK. So HuK going with the 7 gateways, killing off the pylon and that cannon there as well. So that is how he decided to break through his base. So HuK getting primed for an engagement right now. He has got a 7-gate coming through. Very, very strong, very aggressive. The level 1 upgrade being chrono boosted through and just about finished right now. At the same time, getting ready to take this expansion over here. Zergling scouting it out and, yes, spotting the fact that HuK is indeed getting prepared to expand in this position. We do have a Spire coming through right now, as well as the speed there for the Overlords. So Overlord speed, great for scouting, great for protecting them as well, getting them away from any of those anti-air units. So Speedling Muta, very interesting. A lot of times nowadays, you will be seeing a Roach, Hydra, Corruptor, Infester. As a Zerg player against a Protoss player, that's what you're seeing a lot of now. Speedling Muta can be effective as well if you engage and harass properly. So we'll really come down to how KDH manages his units and how much damage he can do to HuK's economy with those mutas, or sniping off buildings and pylons and everything of that nature. And look at that, actually, that pylon is primed for some muta sniping, cutting off all the power to these 5 gateways right here. That could be certainly very, very effective. Zergling's trying to move down to get some damage done, but those cannons, plus this little warp in here of sentries and that cannon coming through, was enough to push him back. But here comes a big push right now from HuK, moving across the map, first grabbing the tower. Zerglings in transit will be taken care of here with the army of HuK. HuK moving down, threatening those Zerglings, posturing, if you will, and Zerglings forced to pull back, realizing a bit too much for them to handle. Those peacock feathers, they're scary. What is he talking about? Some of you will get that. Some of you will, I am sure. Mutas should be coming through. Where are they? No mutas. We do have the Spire, and there we go. Finally, 7 mutas coming through, but here comes the push right now. Guardian Shield going down. Some great force fields going down, preventing some of those Zerglings from sneaking through. Unfortunately, though, stopping those Zealots from being able to actually attack those Spine Crawlers. Now also blocking off the bottom of the ramp. Very nice. Stopping those reinforcement Zerglings. Very nice placement there from HuK, and HuK doing a really decent amount of damage right now. This obviously isn't really an all-in push at all, but just trying to do as much damage as possible, and again doing a great job of maintaining those force fields. Now here come the mutas trying to engage the Guardian Shield, cuts back all of that splash damage right now from those mutas. Look at those mutas doing no splash damage. A little bit of a pause happened at that time with those Guardian Shields, doing a great job with just these sentries of doing damage to those mutas. Guardian Shield finally gets dropped. Splash damage of the mutas comes into play, but now here's the problem. The mutas would have been great as a surprise, but now HuK knows about them, so he will be prepared to defend with these Stalkers. Look at that, instantaneously dropping cannons down here to defend the resource line. Also coming down with these Stalkers. He's got the Twilight Council to get that Blink research out as well. That, of course, will help against any muta harassment. So the Speedling Muta build has been spotted by HuK, and now HuK knows to prepare and defend against it. Level 1 armor upgrade coming through. Mutas and Zerglings trying to test to see if they can push and do any damage, but HuK properly defended with these cannons, with all of these stalkers here as well. KDH does need to look to get up another expansion now, spotting the third expansion here from HuK. He should be moving to get his fourth sometime soon. This is probably the most likely position for him to move, but really he's got any choice under the sun. And is this one going? No, that's a spine crawler. Okay, so hopefully he does expand sometime soon, though. He really does need to do that. Scouting Overseer moving in. Ooh, look at that. HuK defending that one pylon. Nice contamination, though, going down. Really love to see that, in all honesty. The Contaminate does a great job stopping any warp in here from these, stopping the warp in cooldown as well, stopping that cooldown from working, rather, is what I meant to say. So Muta's really not able to do a lot. There aren't that large a number, just sitting at 12, and only a few sitting over here, sitting with just those 6. Not sure where the other 6 are. There they are. Those are still at home. So those would be actually really beneficial if he did bring them forward to help try to pick off some buildings. We can see that Templar Archives is in for HuK. HuK blinking down, and I think it just attacked his own Templar Archives, oddly enough. Obviously a misclick. Now Mutas will be chilling out in the corner here by that palm tree. I would imagine the breeze is quite comfortable. Back over here, KDH with the Mutas still sitting around. That is not good. No bueno, if you will. Now, here comes the drone moving across the map to expand. Do we see where that expansion is going? Do we? Yes. It looks like it might be going over here. Where's he going? No, that was the Overlord moving over there. So the expansion will be going over here for KDH. KDH decided not to expand here quite yet. Muta is still sitting. KDH, you're killing me, Smalls. Absolutely, that is just rough to watch. KDH not really making full use of all of his units. He needs those mutas, because the more mutas you have, the easier it is for you to snipe and run away, and that's the whole point of the mutalist. Snipe, run away, snipe, run away. So there we go, finally clumping up his mutalist, getting him in a position to actually engage and try to do some damage. Now, the major concern here is that he has let HuK have a lot of time. We're at 15 minutes game time before this muta harass is really starting to come into play. We saw him try to move out before, but obviously did no damage because he waited so long to get these guys grouped up. A little bit concerned. We'll be trying to snipe down these cannons and then go for the pylon. Yes, cannons get dropped. Pylon will be next, but at the same time, big push coming down for HuK. He does have a high Templar in there. Storm is researched as well. Muta's doing what they can. Will be trying to take out the Robo as well as that pylon, but here comes the big push. Big Guardian Shields going down. Zealots in the front as well. They do not have charge research, but that Blink helping a bit, and blinking back to save some of those high Templar. Big Storms going down on those Zerglings as well. Zealots mopping up the frontal defenses, and HuK doing a bit of damage. We've got these mutas moving back to try to defend. There's not a lot of anti-air, so KDH might actually be able to defend against this with all these mutas. Just see its target fire down. Those stalkers, there we go. There is no proxy pylon in position to reinforce this fight. So HuK losing the rest of his army here. Zealots, of course, will get mopped up from all those mutas. KDH now needs to instantly turn around and go back and try to do some more damage to HuK. Now, we do have HuK coming out with this additional expansion. The biggest concern right now, though, for KDH is that he has just now gotten up his fourth, and he has been on the same number of bases as HuK for a while, and that is dangerous. You need to one up your Protoss opponent. Trying to drop down the pylon, but forced away. And actually, had he dropped that down, he would have stopped that warp in of the small group of stalkers. So I think that might have been a mistake there walking back. He could have stopped the warp in of those units. So, wow, yeah, KDH decided to turn in. He left and then went back in at the kind of the wrong moment, basically. Now, scouting with some Zerglings, KDH has spotted this expansion of HuK. HuK coming down with a lot of photon cannons, using those extra minerals to his advantage here. Instead of churning out a ton of zealots, he's deciding, let me come out with a ton of cannons. This is some great defense. Will slow up the mining, but in the exchange for the strong defense that he'll get from it, probably worth it. Now, sitting with a lot of zealots, something I would really like to see HuK do is come out with that charge upgrade. He's got the he's got the Twilight Council in play, and the fact that he has so many zealots that charge would certainly do nothing but help. Now, Muta Harass is trying to move down. We do have that one zealot that was trying to move out to grab the Blink Stalkers, though, coming forward, sniping down a few of those mutas. Mutas will be trying to move forward, but there are a lot of cannons here, and even with this mass amount of mutas, that's a lot of cannons. That is a lot of damage. It's really not worth it losing a muta or two just to take out one cannon. So Blink Stalkers moving forward, sniping down a few more of those mutas, and mutas will be forced to push back right now. And again, man, KDH, he needs to stay on top of these expansions. And right now he's on the same number of bases of HuK. And I do not know how many times I have to drill this into people's heads, but I doubt KDH watches my commentary. But what I'm saying is that When you're Zerg, you got to be one base up. It's so important, and we see the importance of it. Liquid HuK, you know, being able to maintain this strong army, and KDH just barely defending that first attack, and he, I don't know if he's going to have enough to defend this one. HuK sitting with a lot of army. KDH not really with a lot right now. Let's take a look here at the army tab. HuK at 84, KDH at 65 army supply, so HuK being in the superior position right now. These High Templar will help quite a bit, too, against this Speedling Muta army here, chasing down the one probe, dropping that very quickly, moving around, but he really needs to keep up this harass. I do not think that KDH is doing enough damage right now, and again, still, he's on the same number of bases. This one's not even fully mining. HuK getting some pretty decent saturation over here. Also, this nice couple of High Templar. Wow, actually, 4 High Templar for defense. Couple of Zealots chilling out over here as well. Those 4 High Templar will surprise any mutas that if they do attempt to try to move into that expansion. We also have a HuK coming into another expansion here as well, so HuK is actually going to be one-upping KDH in terms of number of expansions or number of bases that he has. HuK will be sitting on 5, and there we go. Finally, KDH coming up with his 5th, but still, he's still technically behind. He's not above where HuK is. I know I just keep saying that, but it's because it's so important. It definitely makes a big difference, especially when you're sitting with such a fragile army as the Speedling Muta army is. Very fragile, not really made for large-scale engagement. And speaking of which, here comes a big one. Storm blanketing across the map, forcing those mutas to dance around and not engage at the same time, taking damage from the Stalkers, and the mutas get mopped up. The Zerglings get mopped up from those Zealots there, and HuK just took care of pretty much everything that KDH had. KDH does have the adrenal glands coming out right now for those Speedlings. 10 more mutas coming into play. Also the level 2 Carapace. What do you have for upgrades here for the air units? He's got two weapons, air upgrade, whatever you want to call it, for his mutas. Very small number of mutas, though, really not enough to harass to any sort of effectiveness. He lost way too many, and here comes a big push from HuK. This is dangerous right now for KDH. Lots of Zealots streaming on in. Still no charge. HuK, oh god, you're killing me. Why does he not have charge yet? Nobody knows. Someone probably does know. But anyways, yes, blinking forward, and plus those Zealots mopping up all of that static defense, and the storms on the drones, devastating the worker count there. Zealots moving in as well. And what are those mutas doing bunched up? That's the last thing you want to do when High Templar are on the map. Yeah, don't bunch up those mutas, please. So KDH losing the expansion, and he may very well lose this one as well. I don't know if HuK really knows about it, although spotting that creep over there may tip him off to the fact that there's an expansion. Now, we are seeing an attempted counterattack here from KDH, but walking into storms and those cannons, the Zealots to deal with stuff as well, and blanket storm, and the mutas clumping up with the storm, and there is the GG. HuK opened up this game with a Forge Fast Expand, while KDH went Extractor Pool into Expansion. However, in trying to expand, he had to deal with HuK's probe harassment here, and what we're actually going to see is KDH pulls down with an initial 4 Zerglings, pretty standard, but only moves back with 1 Zergling, and dealing with this pylon harassment, this set him back tremendously, because with just the 1 Zergling and the drone, it took him way too long to try to drop this pylon, and this really delayed KDH's expansion. HuK then dropped his 3rd and moved out with a 7-gate level 1 upgrade push. And we're going to see, with being so sentry heavy, HuK was able to make great use of Guardian Shield and Force Fields. And something great that he did in this engagement as well is Force Field the bottom of the ramp, preventing those Zerglings from actually coming up. Now, KDH could have actually used those Zerglings and rerouted, because there is another entry over here, but unfortunately he didn't do that. And as such, HuK was able to do a lot of damage here in this push. KDH moved out with some Muta harass around the 12-minute mark, but unfortunately at the same time, HuK was counterattacking. So we can see right now, as the Muta harass was taking place, HuK pushing forward, lots of Zealots, some Stalkers and Sentries mixed in there as well. Guardian Shields being so crucial against those unupgraded Mutas, also pulling back there with those Stalkers. Now HuK was able to do a bit of damage, taking down Spine Crawlers, and obviously with those Storms doing really well against those Zerglings and Mutas. He wasn't actually able to take much of anything out besides the static defenses and a couple of units, and actually there KDH finally pulling back with the mutas that he was harassing at HuK's main base with to defend his expansion. After defending that attack, KDH pushed back to do some more muta harass, but he actually made a big mistake here. We can see trying to target fire down that pylon, and he could have killed that pylon, prevented these warp-ins, and unpowered a couple of these gateways, and that would have helped him a lot But then, not only did he not take out that pylon and retreat, but then he went back into the larger force of Stalkers and lost a lot of mutas. KDH's biggest problem this game, though, was that he was never actually above HuK in terms of number of expansions, and that is definitely something you need to do as a Zerg player, and unfortunately for KDH, not doing that, being on the same basis of HuK, hurt him quite a bit. Our last big engagement came around the 22-minute mark, and again, you can see with such fragile units that the Zerglings and mutas are, and not having that economic advantage that he needed because he lacked the number of bases he needed against HuK, KDH just couldn't contend with the army of HuK, and that is what eventually forced the GG. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this commentary. Today was a pretty busy day for me. I did a really long commentary in the first game I casted, then this one, and also of course that strategy video. Tomorrow we got a bunch of stuff in the works as well with the team replays. Really looking forward to the upcoming Diablo 3 beta because we'll be doing some more videos, more content once that comes out as well. But anyways, yes, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this content. As always, if you like what we're doing here, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep watching and keep owning.